Hello and welcome back again. We are doing a series on the future of project management, talking to several different individuals in the industry and just getting their take on some specific questions and some non-specific questions. So I have here today with me Natalie Berkiw-Scenna with Project Management Life, and I have the amazing Mr. Benjamin Rebeske with CORBEAU Tech and Project Success Academy. Thank you both for coming on with me today. And I am just going to facilitate some questions back and forth. For those of you who don't know, my name is Amanda. I work very closely with Mr. Rebeske at CORBEAU Tech as a director of something there. I direct something there. And so, no, it's a huge blessing to be able to work with Ben and the team there, and we have a great time. And so we're just doing a little series talking about project management, different things in project management. So Ben, I'm going to let you start us. Would you share with us what you're seeing lately? What's new? And what's going on with project management, stalled projects, and things like that in AI and project management?
First of all, Amanda, it's always fun to work with you. I enjoy our chats, but you're too modest. You're the director. You're our director of relations management. So obviously,
That's right. That's right. That's what it is.
we couldn't live without you. One of the finest leaders, and I think a lot of what we'll talk about today is kind of in your wheelhouse, and it's absolutely in Natalie's wheelhouse around wellness and, frankly, ethics. Those two I've become aware, are surprisingly interlinked because if you can be ethical to yourself, right, if you can exchange that kind of respect, dare I say affection, right, onto your own wellness, I think that, of course, translates to others. But okay, we'll run down the formalities here. It's a delight to be here. I'm Ben Rebeske. I'm the CEO and founder of CORBEAU Tech, which is a project success practitioner-focused advisory organization. We specialize in executive PMO implementations and transformations that achieve transformation objectives, portfolio objectives, but they do so by rapidly implementing self-sustaining and maturing PM organizations. And we do that because of our talent base. And we discovered, as part of our adventure when we were implementing with our larger clients, that the team we were building, the consulting team we were building, were developing skills that were not only technology forward, but they were emotional intelligence forward. And we wanted to bring that out to the project management community. I myself have been a huge Project Management Institute volunteer, member, past officer. I love that organization. I made so many friends. And I believe in everything about what that agency has brought to the Project Management Institution. And we just feel like so many of our fellow professionals have this opportunity right now to really grab a hold of what AI can do. We can finally self-actualize to being project practitioners rather than just project managers pushing status, mechanics, and spreadsheets, right? We're now becoming much more potent in being, as I like to say, an executive's best friend. So that's what CORBEAU is all about, is transforming professionals into an executive advisor, a project success practitioner, and we do so with an academy and with a consulting practice. Thanks for having me here.
Natalie, you are with us because we're so fortunate and so honored to find you and bring you in along with us on the Project Success Academy side to be one of our partners there. I want you to share a little bit, if you will, about Project Management Life, which is your company and the work that you do to support project managers. And then we'll just talk a little back and forth organically between us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here with both of you today. So let me tell you first about myself. So again, my name's Natalie Berkiw-Scenna. I've been in project management. I literally just passed my 25 years. And so in the healthcare space is really where I've lived my entire career. I work full time at a large hospital system in Michigan. And one of the things I've seen from a project management perspective is I see project managers and project leaders burning out. I see us having so much higher expectations on us as time goes by, including on myself. I remember days in earlier kind of mid-career where I was burning the midnight oil, right? You're just kind of hunched over your laptop at 11 o'clock at night, kind of one eye open, trying to get things done. And then you're just starting the same cycle over and over again. And that's just not sustainable. As I sort of progressed throughout my career, I started really defining new strategies and ways to perform more sustainably. And I really started to think about project management from the perspective of, we talk a lot about, driving results and getting the next certification. And I think all of that's fantastic. But we don't really look at the human factors of project management. We don't really talk a little more about the stress and the burnout that we all tend to feel at some point in our career. And the reality is it doesn't have to be that way, right? And build in strategies in terms of the way that we work so that way we can still perform and provide really consistent, high quality project results, but not burn ourselves out and get to a point where we just want to leave the profession. I want to see project leaders have a long, happy, successful career, right? We want them to retire and looking back thinking, I had a fantastic career, I had a fantastic life, and I'm so proud of the work that I did. But I don't want them thinking, gosh, I was burned out the entire time. So project management life sort of came together about a year and a half ago is when I really officially launched it, but I had been thinking about it for quite some time. And so really that's kind of, just a matter of kind of bringing that community online and just the global nature of it and really seeing that this resonates with people, because again, we just don't talk about it, but there's a space here for us to talk about how do we do our jobs in a way that gives us that personal satisfaction without that burnout. So I'm excited to be here. I'm so excited to partner with both of you. I know we just did our first sustainable performance retreat, which was fantastic. It was just really proved to me as well, but based on the participants in the conversation, this is a much needed topic that we need to be talking about.
Yeah, we agree for sure. So we were able to do a webinar with Natalie on the CORBEAU channel. You can go there and kind of learn more about who she is and what she does. And then you can go to her website as well, which we'll put at the bottom of this video. And so we were able to do that. And then you did a complete course, like a 4-hour half day kind of intensive on all of this, which was great as well. And we're just so grateful for all the work you're doing. You've been really helpful to our team as well. All right, so I'm going to throw some questions at y'all. Ben, and this is for both of you, but I'm going to start with Ben for a minute. When you look at project management as a profession, where it is now, what feels so different from 5 or 10 years ago to where we are now?
Gosh, I know it's going to be kind of cliche, but I have to go with the changes in technology, and not just for AI's sake. I guess I would say that the biggest change that's hit us is the introduction of the technology, but more importantly than that, the expectations that came with it. And this touches a little bit on what Natalie just shared with us about the importance of awareness and wellness, that the whole, you can't get into this expectation of, oh, well, there's AI now, Ben. I expect you to be able to automate all that stuff, and your productivity should double, if not triple. And we don't get out of the cycle of long days and nights, and we never turn off the computer, and we never go to bed at night with it off our minds. And I think what's changed is, I'm not trying to be a negative thing. We need to be aware of it. I think what's changed is, frankly, the expectations on project managers and project professionals. And I think there's a way to manage that. I think we are either sometimes cursed anecdotally in the industry of, oh, PMs, aren't you guys just paper pushers and meeting note takers and where's my status report, and you hound people about their status, isn't that all you do? It's, I need you to do everything and have it on my desk by tomorrow. I need forecasts, I need finance, I need risk action issue controls, I need to understand the stakeholders, what's our staffing plan, how late or early we're going to be, did you get the sprint completed, did you get the backlog cleaned up? Like, we end up becoming the custodians of technology, our teams, our people, our scope, our contracts, our subcontractors, and that doesn't go away. And then you add on AI, and everyone says, well, why don't you just automate all that? Is that a fair expectation? And I think that's what CORBEAU has been deeply exploring, specifically as a technology-forward company on that side, to empower professionals to be able to manage all that, juggle all that automation, but not lose the importance of maintaining our personal boundaries. And I think that's where the big challenge is these days. It's not, hey, is there a tool for that? Because there's a new one every day.
Yeah.
It's, now that I can do everything, we should really be asking, how do I manage the boundaries around that? if that makes sense.
Yeah, agreed. And Natalie, I know that you have words for that as well, because you and I have had some conversations. And then, I've listened to your stuff as well in the webinar and other areas. And so I want to hear your perspective on that. How has the profession changed in the last 5 to 10 years in your perspective? In addition to what Ben is saying here with all the technology.
First of all, I'm really excited about the technology. I think we're not there where things are automated and making it necessarily easier for us yet. I think we're going to get there. I think it's going to take some time still. But I think just to echo as well Ben's comments around expectations, I have seen a significant shift over time around the expectations on project managers, project leaders, where we went originally from the point where here's a project plan, go manage it, keep us on time, keep us on budget, keep us within scope, right? It really, we had a much narrower scope in terms of our field. At least that's the shift that I'm seeing. Now I'm seeing project managers being partnered up as true business partners, where we're looked at from a more strategic perspective to say, how can we truly align with the strategic plans of our organization? How do we move things forward in a way that makes sense? And the complexity of the projects that we're getting, because we're now integrating AI and technology and all of those pieces, those didn't exist before, right? I still remember paper days. We're getting to a point where everything is shifting to online, on cloud-based, et cetera, et cetera. And we have to shift with that. And with that comes complexity, comes new skill sets that we are constantly trying to upskill ourselves. And so, but yeah, the expectations on us has changed. And I see that continuing to progress over time, which only again, from a burden perspective, puts a lot of pressure on us, puts a lot of pressure on our shoulders. And project leaders really need to set ourselves up for success so that as those expectations continue to grow, we are working in a sustainable way that we can maintain that.
Yeah, that is really, really good. Valid points from both of you on that.
Actually,
Go ahead, Ben.
It tickled me. I was trying not to chuckle. So yesterday, right, we had a Project Success Academy course, bringing in some of our peers into the fundamentals of the different maturity levels of AI use. And we were doing an exercise, and I had to laugh because so many people, and I do this too. You talked about the old days of pen and paper, Natalie, and the students asked me, so Ben, I take notes all the time, and I laughed. I said, oh yeah, me too. And it's like, well, how do I transpose that into automated timesheets, automated status reports? And I laughed and I said, I hate to admit it, but you got to go digital. But good news, image recognition works. You take an iPhone picture, again, all the privacy disclaimers, etc., as you would have with any AI, and you click a button and you say, now turn all that information into meeting notes, turn them into action items, turn them into status reports. But I was laughing. It's like, you're absolutely right. We cannot get away from some kind of digital interaction. It was just funny.
Yeah, Ben, you know me too. I love my notebook. I make my list every morning, and it's not digital.
Yeah.
It's on a piece of paper with a pen. There's something for me about putting it into my brain
Absolutely.
by writing it down and seeing it visually. And so for me, it's still every morning I make my to-do list with a pen and a piece of paper in my notebook. And I get to keep my notebook, but I do, Ben and I have talked about this before. I do take pictures of it and I will upload it to different agents and say, hey, let me know where am I at, what's going on, and things like that. So it's helpful, or I can give updates to other people. But yeah, I'm a pen and paper gal myself. So, but
I agree.
I also very much embrace now the technology, and our team has really, really come a long way in that in the last probably 6 to 8 months. Is we really, really had a lot of learning curve there, but I think we're doing it now for the most part. So,
well, the nice thing about technology too is that we can share action
yes,
tasks and stuff, right? Like to-do lists and stuff like that
yes.
digitally. But there is something satisfying about having it on pen and paper, and when you finish something, scratching it out. There's something
Exactly. Checking it off, checking it off, scratching it out. That's yes. There is something so satisfying about that. I love it. It's one of my favorite things actually. It's like, okay, I got all these things done today, or I did not get these things done and I have to move them over to tomorrow. Yeah. as AI becomes more common, how do you see it changing in the day-to-day work of project managers? And that's kind of like the million-dollar question, right? And Ben's like, I've answered this 1,000 times. But I think that also it changes regularly, right? It's not always the same thing. I think that that's kind of what we're talking about here is it's learning how to work with it and how to navigate what new thing has come out. So I'm going to let Ben talk about that a little bit too, and then Natalie will come over to you with that.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a broken record, so I'll try to explore a little bit. And Natalie, I'm excited to get your perspective. So one of the challenges I faced, and I wasn't really joking, there is a new version of something almost every day in some way, right? New Chat GPT or Notebook LM has added a feature, right? Claude Code has, installed a patch that makes it a little bit smarter and auto fixes its own defects. Chat GPT released Codex, so it has sort of a Claude Cowork type model that's supposedly even more effective in automating our day-to-day activities. And all of that's exciting. I think that the opportunities are now so big that we end up fighting a different battle, and it's a battle of your own. It's a battle of your own. Where do I spend the time with what value, right? So it's kind of like if to use an analogy, if I'm a cook and I'm in the kitchen, like it's one of those TV shows where they'll get you any ingredient you want, and that's almost even more challenging to say, oh, you can get in. I'm going to end up making, a celery chocolate cake or something because I'm just going to have rutabaga and so many random radishes and random ingredients. I may end up making this ridiculously mismatched hodgepodge of a meal, and I'm capable in all of those ways, but there's so many options that I think it can be stifling. So I am excited about what the AI tools can do for us. I like, in the old model, we talked a little about pen and paper. In the old days, I would go to everybody's desk, or we'd have stand-ups, or we'd check in with each other. What's your status on this? What are your blockers and all of that? Now we still do those things, but with digitization in tools like, a Jira or a Monday.com or Asana, I can actually now come to meetings more prepared. AI has gone out and it's done all of the research based off of people just doing their day job. It's looked at SharePoint, it's looked at calendars, it's looked at meeting notes, it's read some of my emails, and it's consolidated a story of everybody's progress for the work, so that when I come into a stand-up meeting now, I'm actually informed and prepared, and I'm asking probing questions instead of primary exploration questions. If that makes sense. So now I'm becoming a part of the team. It's almost as though, in a small way, I've taken away all the legwork and all of that kind of the repeatable, inefficient stuff. So the status is pre-drafted, and we say, hey, what in this looks like it needs some tuning? Do you disagree or agree with what I'm seeing here? And I come not just prepared, but I come as a peer who's helping solve the problem, tell the story, build something of value. And so I always talk about a PM working in hour blocks. In the old days, if I was focusing for an hour on status, I'd spend 45 minutes of it just getting the info and trying to put it together, leaving 15 minutes to try to put together a deck. And by the end, certainly you could produce that deck and even email it to folks, but is it really right? Did you talk with them about it? Did you amalgamate the information into an integrated story from input from different teams and sources to something valuable, and then evolve it to level 2 or level 3 of accuracy or helpfulness or corrective action? And so I think AI has afforded us the ability to do that much more rapidly, and my hour block is spent 45 minutes refining and solving problems and getting ahead of problems, doing what if scenarios, all the things PMs have always been able to do but rarely had time to do. So I'm excited about AI for that, but I still think it takes a lot of focus to know what ingredients, what tools do I use to do something like that, and is that the right way to spend my hour, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of the two sides of the coin from my perspective.
That's a great answer. It's a little bit different than we've heard before. Natalie, I want you to chime in on that a little bit. How does the human side of that even more so come into it with which the work that you do with project management life and sustainability for ourselves and the work that we're doing, and how can you speak to that idea?
Yeah. I'm really excited about AI and where it's going. I think there can be a lot of fear around that, especially when we think about, job security and those types of things. I think it's going to take us a long time until we hit a point where we sort of plateau and get to a point where we're all feeling comfortable. Ben, you mentioned every day there's a new tool out there. That in itself provides a lot of uncertainty. Should I be focusing here? Should I be learning this tool? Learning all of them is just not a reality, right? It's just we can't split our attention. So where do we focus? That's one thing. I think the reality is as we try to embed AI into what we're doing, we find ways to make our lives a little bit easier so that we can spend more time with our stakeholders. I think at the end of the day, that is the piece that I really want us to be able to embrace is this. How can we free ourselves up to spend more time with, building relationships, building trust, talking with our stakeholders, understanding their needs, managing risks, those types of things. I'll tell you how I'm leveraging it right now. And I can't say that I'm leveraging it in a significant capacity. I'm still learning, but I do leverage it from a meeting perspective. It has literally changed my life from the amount of time I used to spend documenting, when I'd be scribbling my chicken scratch during meetings, I'd be trying to capture everything and then trying to make sense of it afterwards, and then trying to put together my project plan, and then trying to send out a detailed meeting summary with action items and who's responsible. Now I use I use Copilot, I use Otter.ai. And one of the nice things too is it transcribes it all in real time. And then I simply type in there, please create a follow-up email for this meeting and include key decisions, key discussion points, action items, and next steps. And it spits out a beautiful email that I can then just tweak. And now I've saved myself literally hours of time. And I can also say, tell me all of the key work items, the work tasks out of that conversation, and it will summarize it versus me trying to figure out what I scribbled down on paper. And so it literally has saved me time. And that is just one example. And I'm really excited about future opportunities that will allow me to streamline my work so that I'm, again, spending more time with my team, spending more time in conversations, and really just supporting my team, right? Just from that perspective. So I think there's lots of really great opportunities. I haven't figured them all out yet, but I'm excited about the future.
Me too. Yeah, there are a lot of options, and the more I learn, there's more to learn. It's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, it is. There's so many things coming from here and there and everywhere, but I think it's good. I think as long as we take it in stride, and we've had some other conversations about that as well, that, it is a learning process. There's so much out there right now. I think it's important that we rely on the people who are using it well, like Ben, and then we have Matt, who's a part of our little, I don't know what you call it.
Community.
Yeah. Of
Yeah,
our
our guild of
Yes,
forward
yeah,
professionals, right?
exactly.
That's right.
He and his team are great about training on it. Ben is great. And so, and it's always interesting to have these conversations too, because we learn about something else that's usable or workable, or we should try, or maybe implement later. And so it's really great to have these conversations and talk about that. I don't want to stay on the topic of completely AI. I know it's a hot topic and everybody wants to know about it. But let's just talk about the real brass tacks of it. Like, where other than AI, because we know that there's some issues, and good and bad, going on with AI right now in project management. But what just general skills is going to separate the strong project managers from those who are struggling to adapt, whether it be AI or just all the general changes in project management right now?
Well, I'll let Natalie take a crack at this one.
Yeah.
I think if you are stubborn and you're not willing to open, the door in terms of at least testing the waters, right? And seeing what it can do. Because I have heard project managers that are like, I'm not touching AI. I don't like it. For whatever reason, they've got a bias about it. And that, I think, unfortunately, that's just the future, right? We're going to have to all eventually move that way. However you choose to adopt it, you don't have to go all in on AI, but if there's ways that you can become more efficient and more effective in what you're doing, I think it's just a level of openness that and I don't know if I'd say that's a skill set or anything like that, but it certainly is a mindset. And I think that we need to approach it maybe from that perspective. It's coming from a point of curiosity. How can we improve? How can we be better at what we're doing? Because if we're not, then we're static, and we are, our colleagues are going to continue to embrace it, and you don't want to be left behind. And it's not
Yeah.
that you would be, but
You might be.
I guess. So it's just, it's just having that openness and again, that sense of curiosity on what can it do for me? It's not taking it in, just not taking necessarily everything that AI can do, but just picking and choosing things that are easy. Like I said, the meeting summaries makes my life easy.
Yeah.
Yes, it
And
does.
the one applicable thing is not going to carry over to every single industry, because
Absolutely.
there's certain restrictions in some industries, or certain things that will work in one industry that won't work in another. It's definitely not like a one size fits all. What one AI can do for you in this industry may not work in somebody else's industry. So it's good, like you said, to keep the curiosity and an open mind and what will work with what we're doing. Ben, I know you can kind of piggyback off of that as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to end up actually pivoting this back to you, Natalie, because I'm curious how you've had success doing this. I feel that in this age of technology and opportunity, that one of the core attributes we need, believe it or not, and it's going to have to last for a long time. You talked about sometimes that stubbornness. It can actually pay off in the other direction. If I'm stubborn as a project manager about my focus on the mission or the success of the project, that's a big deal.
Hmm.
So I almost wanted to get your take on what is the opposite side of the coin of some of those traits that might have been a blocker in this newer, adjusting to this new way of working, but how could I turn those into something that helped me? Or is that reasonable? What do you think?
Hmm.
Like, I know for me, I am stubborn, but I'm stubborn to the mission. So sometimes it means, and it's dangerous, but sometimes it means I better learn how to automate these meeting notes, because I can't be spending 90 minutes a day typing up and sending out meeting notes. I have to be prepping for the executive workshop next week, right? So my stubbornness might help me from the standpoint of tenacity, if that makes sense.
It does. And so I say this because I'm actually relatively stubborn myself.
All right. Okay.
But I will say AI is something that I dabbled on in really early. So about 3 weeks after ChatGPT came out is when I signed up, and I was like, oh, this is so
Early
cool.
bird. All
I was
right.
an early bird. Yeah. So I was playing around with it and creating songs and poems and just recipes and, whatever else, whatever I could
That's
think of at the
fantastic.
time, just for fun. And then I was like, how do I start applying this to the work environment, right? So, okay, from a stubbornness perspective, I actually think, I don't personally think it's a horrible trait. It's actually what guides you and
I
keeps you
agree.
pushing and driving things through. I think that's actually and maybe stubbornness isn't the right word for this, but it's this, but you're right, this tenacity, this drive to see things through is something that I think project managers truly bring to the table that other professions may not. It's just because we are seeing something literally from its infancy, and we need to drive it all the way through to its completion. And so, whether or not we choose to embed AI to get there, I think regardless, that's a mindset that we all kind of come to the table with. And I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but I,
Yeah,
I
you've done great.
I
Yeah.
come from a level of stubbornness. My husband would share that with you as well.
Well, I'm just gonna say, you guys call it stubborn. I call it motivated. I don't know. You can call it what you. I'm not
When I
stubborn
get
at
an
all.
idea in my head, I need to see it through.
Yeah.
And so I will, whatever it takes, once it's in my mind, I have to see the end of it. I have to get to the end. And so it is a level of stubbornness, but I think it's actually a positive because it
Yeah.
drives us to success.
This is probably like controversial, but I'll say it's probably a bit generational too, because we're all pretty close in that generation gap. And I think
What are you talking about? I am so young and spry.
I am
That's
too,
funny.
Ben. What are you saying?
That's true. I get myself in trouble.
No, but I think that not that, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to start a riot or anything. Not that there are not different motivations in different generations, but I do think that there is a bit of that in our generation where we push ourselves a little bit more is what I'm trying to say. It's kind of that intrinsic internal pushing, stubbornness, desire, whatever, to make sure that the thing gets done, regardless of whether we got to swim a river to do it or walk through mud. We're going to do it and make sure it gets done. And so, yeah, I think I would say the same thing. And I see that with the top performers in project management, which I'm blessed to be connected with a lot of you guys. And I see that in all of you that, it doesn't matter how we get from point to A to B, we're going to get there somehow. And I see that in the way you guys train, the way you learn, the way you work on your projects, the way you execute with other people, the way you fellowship with other people through different processes, and you're willing to help other people. I think that's so important that we are collaborating with other people, working. It's not a secret, right? We're not holding on to it. We want other people to know how to do these things and how to succeed as well. And that's what I love about all of these different partnerships that we have together. It's not a competition. We're all working together. We're trying to, and we're celebrating when one person wins and excited when something good happens. When organizations are creating project systems that support the people instead of overwhelming that, how do we kind of turn that shift? How do we kind of help the people within, in the trenches of those projects when everything just seems completely overwhelming and we feel like we can't dig out of it? I know, Natalie, you can speak to that. And I know Ben can too, because Ben's worked on some massive projects. He's kind of in the trenches with some of that. And so how do we help the teams when we have to get the job from point A to point B, right? The project has to get done, but everybody's exhausted and everybody's overwhelmed.
Maybe I'll
You can go
jump
first.
in. Yeah, absolutely. I think organizations have a responsibility to support their teams to be successful. I think that, again, expectations, like I mentioned, continue to rise. And so as they're throwing more and more projects at project managers, they also need to consider the human factors about it as well, right? They need to make sure that they're encouraging their team members to take vacation. They are encouraging their team members to build in recovery time. They're encouraging their teams to, set appropriate boundaries, because we tend to have a society these days where we have this always on, mentality where just because technology is so readily available, when we leave the office, there's almost still an expectation that we're still responding to emails, chat messages are still coming through late at night, and there's this expectation that there's a response. So it's really up to organizations to set the culture to allow their project leaders to truly thrive, right? We want to think about it both, not just from a professional perspective, but from a personal point of view as well. And the reality is there's a level of invisible labor that I think, we hear more and more about recently. It's just there's so much that project managers do that we can't put on a status report. And so I think organizations need to be more mindful that if there's, just because there may be an hour in a project manager's calendar, it doesn't mean they're not doing anything during that time, right? They're probably smoothing something out. They're probably mentoring their team members. They're probably having something escalated to them. They're probably following up. Like there's so much going on that, again, you can't put it on a status report, but that, there's still a huge burden on project managers. And so again, I just think organizations should be mindful of that and set clear expectations around how that at the end of the day, their entire team should be able to go back and have a good work-life balance as well. So I don't know that always happens, but I would love to see that
Be great
shift.
if it did. Yeah.
And so that's
I know.
what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
I know I've worked remote for, gosh, I think I'm going on 8 years now working remote. And the same kind of thing we were talking about before, there's just kind of like this internal, like the phone, the phone's beeping or there's an email or whatever. And so I've really, this last few months, Natalie, you've probably been a big help in that too. But these last few months, I've just really, really tried to be much more intentional about, okay, when it's, when the day's over, the door's closed, or when the weekend comes, the door's closed. I don't go in the office. I make sure that I don't need things in there. Because I am one of those people who's like, oh, I have to do it. I have to do it. Oh, Ben texted me. I got to text him back. And Ben's great. I'm picking on him. He doesn't do that unless it's an emergency. But really being much more intentional about that, about, okay, well, I need to be with my family. I need to be doing the things that I enjoy that give me peace. And my team needs to be able to do the same. And if they see me 24 hours answering emails and doing all the things, then they feel that expectation as well.
You're
So we
setting that
set the tone.
expectation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're setting it from the top. And so it's important that in, top leadership, management, all those things, when you are the person that people are looking at in the team to show what the expectation is, that you're not sitting there, replying to an email at 2 a.m. unless you absolutely have to, because they're going to feel that as well. Ben, I know you can speak to that some too. We've had some conversations about that as well.
2 a.m. emails?
Yeah.
I can absolutely speak about 2 a.m. emails for sure. Actually, I don't know why I'm kind of in an irony mood today. One of our most successful EPMO implementations was with a healthcare provider, and it was on budget, on schedule, powerfully talented team, very capable, and they already, while we were implementing the PMO, they had implemented projects that already had shown success, right? The time to deliver projects to realize value is so critical in healthcare. If you're trying to stand up a clinic, right, or a pharmacy to an underserved area, people aren't going to drive 90 minutes to get their meds. They don't get their meds. So you've got to get these projects live on time. You've got to get them done. And you're juxtaposing that sense of service and industry in that industry. Everyone's driven that way. I mean, if you're in that profession, whether you work in the ER or you're mopping the floors, I think everybody has an understanding of how important what they do is in the orchestration of healthcare. I think for the most part. Now, all of us get burned out. All of us understand. Sometimes you feel like I'm just going through the motions. So I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But it was in that culture that I realized that we struggled with the balance that you just talked about, Natalie. And that was the irony that kind of tickled me, is people were gratified. They were mission focused. Anyone on our projects, from the finance team to the strategy team to the folks out in the clinics to the construction team, the guys who were installing the generators out there turning wrenches, it didn't matter. They were in it, and we did struggle with that turn it off mentality. Now I think that's with focus, that journey that we've all found better balance. I think that people have recognized there are times of spikes, right? Where, as you said, Amanda, a 2 a.m. email might be the right thing, but a 2 a.m. email all 7 days of the week, all the time, all year long. We not only is that not sustainable, it just doesn't make sense. Right?
But I think also if I, when, like, let's just use you and I, Ben, as an example, like we're working together. If I don't ever receive a 2 a.m. email from you, but then one day I do, I know that's very important. Ben must have sent that because that's extremely important. Now, if I get one 7 days a week, eventually my brain's gonna be like, I am not answering any more of these. I cannot do it. He's got to quit waking me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. So if that happens once every 3 months, I know Ben needs me right now. I need to do the thing right now. And I'm going to be more motivated to do it than somebody who's coming at me all the time, 24 hours a day, with the expectation to get it all done all the time. And even with AI, we cannot do that. So.
I want to just add as well, because working in the healthcare industry, like one of the things, many of us that do this, we do it because we love it. We love this industry. Yeah. We love to serve. We love to make a difference in the lives of our patients. And so actually, a lot of times these tasks actually fuel us versus drain us. So sometimes we're actually like, even though we're busy, we love what we do. However, there's a breaking point, right? So if you are constantly, if urgency and firefighting is the norm, you're going to get to a point of burnout. But cyclical, right, where you've got really, really busy periods as you're getting ready for a go live, and yes, 2 a.m. emails, whatever that might be, prior to go live, or let's say, if you're implementing an IT system in a whatever industry, and it needs to go live in the middle of the night because that's when people aren't using the system. That's really critical in healthcare as well, because we don't want physicians in there, in an Epic or Cerner system, documenting when the system goes down. So having that constant go when we are gearing up for a go live makes sense. But it's building in the recovery time afterwards, and even having a day where you have less meetings, you have a little bit more downtime to recover and get ready for whatever the next wave is, right? So it's just, as long as it's cyclical and it's not constant urgency and constant emails late at night, we all have that. It's feast or famine is kind of the way I look at it a little bit.
100%.
Yeah,
So
I have a selfish ask, if I may, Natalie. Like you just had a very successful sort of digital retreat, right, with Project Management Life, and I heard nothing but good things. My selfish ask is, if you could give us one tactic or piece of advice for those of us who are mission driven, who are passionate about. I mean, I could trace all of my most successful, on time, on budget, early, high energy, people still talk to each other today, 15 years later type projects. They were all because they were mission driven, right? It was a sense of conviction. Everyone, again, from the janitor to the CEO, was in it and in it together, and they all understood what they contributed mattered. Those were my most successful projects, and all the things you just talked about. So, is there a nugget, a technique, I don't know, a course? How can I learn to balance that passion for the long game?
here's the part I'm most excited about, and this is something I live and breathe myself. So it's all about, so we talk a lot about time management, and I don't believe that's the case. I believe in energy management instead. Now we leverage our calendars as a tool, but we do that based on our energy. So when we think about our circadian rhythm, or which is a 24-hour internal clock that we have, it's based on the amount of light we get in the morning will boost our energy, and usually most humans in general will have the best and highest energy mid-morning. Mm-hmm. And then after lunch, it starts to creep down a little bit, and then by about 3:00, most people get to their lowest level of energy throughout the day. Your mental clarity goes along with that, right? So if that resonates with you, one of the things we tend to do is first thing in the morning, we get lost in email. We get lost in administrative tasks, when that is in reality the time of day where we should be doing our highest, most important, prioritized, strategic, creative work, right? That is when we should be focusing our deep work. So if we have mundane meetings, that are within our control, we should be pushing those till later in the day and actually blocking some strategic time and focus time in our calendars. And I say protect it fiercely. Even if you only do that once or twice a week, and you're able to actually, Amanda, you mentioned getting to the end of the day and not being able to knock anything off your to-do list. Yeah. If you have that protected time and you have the mental clarity, you should be able to knock something off. And by the end of the day, you feel good because you've moved the needle. But just thinking about this now from a longer term perspective, Ben, you said, how do we think about this long term? This is something we need to be regularly checking in. Am I managing my energy appropriately as we go forward, and building into our calendars? Like, we should be doing this weeks in advance, putting a block of focus time. And I tell people this, don't put focus time, put no meetings, right? Because I'm just as guilty of this. If I see someone has focus time and it's the only time that's available, I will book into it, right? But if it says no meetings, to me, that means that's sacred time. I'm not going to touch it. So that is one thing I encourage professionals to do, is go into your calendar and book at least one block of time every week that is your focus time do creative work, do strategic work, and leave the more administrative tasks till later in the day, maybe when your energy is a little bit lower.
Yeah, that's so good and such valuable information. Again, because of you, implemented some of that in the last couple of months, and it has been a real game changer too. And I think it's important to know, just like sometimes the simplest thing is the easiest thing, and just saying no, I cannot be in that meeting at 3 o'clock on Friday. I'm done at 3 o'clock on Friday. And sometimes you can't, sometimes there's times that you can't, but just, gracefully and kindly you saying, I have some boundaries, or I have this that, I just can't. Or, I was chuckling when you said that, because it's 3:30 right now and we're all like, so, but we're doing pretty good. So that was a great question though, Ben. I'm glad you asked it.
Yeah, thank
I want to be respectful of y'all's time. And so just one last question, and then we'll put all the information in here on how to get a hold of Natalie, how to get a hold of Ben, how to connect with them on LinkedIn. Natalie has some great stuff coming up. She has a book. You can buy her book and learn more about what she teaches and what she does. And she has some other exciting things coming. And so, again, it's such an honor to be connected with you, Natalie.
Thank you.
All right. So looking ahead, what do you guys hope the project management profession becomes known for, other than just spinning a wheel? What do we hope that we can kind of change the path of things so that people are learning and growing in this profession and gaining more traction? I think there's a lot of people in the project management profession that feel like there's a little stall. They're feeling some burnout. They're feeling some stress. So I'll let Ben go, and then I want to hear from Natalie too on that.
I think where the project profession is moving is bigger than what we've been labeling project management these past decades. I think the concept of project management is so vital, but we also have to think about how other people perceive that. And so, I'd like to see the focus switch from not just being an outstanding project manager, someone who is capable of understanding, agile concepts and PMI, PMBOK concepts, or fundamentals in communication, conflict resolution, contract management. One certainly would and should need to have those in their arsenal. And I think we need to move towards this success-based mentality. And success, that's a big word. Okay, so becoming a project success practitioner, not just a project manager, means that investment, that mission focus, not just for you, but building cultures and teams that also understand how that everything they do is valuable in building something that matters to somebody. These projects are funded for a reason. Building a bridge, doing a pharmaceutical investigation to cure cancer, right? Setting up orphanages or funds to help homeless and children in their education. Any and all of these projects were someone's vision, dream for some sort of evolution or betterment. Finding for yourself as a practitioner, and I don't necessarily mean you have to be a PM, right? You could be a team member, right? You could be the lead database person, right? You could be the lead technologist. You could be a finance person. It doesn't matter. If you're in that project, they've invested in you and they need you. And so my vision for project management is transforming us into this concept of a project success community that it's long hours. It's long days. You're investing 40 hours a week possibly of yourself away from friends and family, and you're focusing on this. Invest in yourself and invest in a mission, and try to find the element of that sense of reward, that sense of being a part of something that matters because you do. And once I think you touch on that, and I'm leading towards Natalie and the project management life a little bit, you realize that who you are and what you are in this tapestry towards success is so important that you focus on some of the things we talked about today: self-care, cognitive burnout, awareness of these cycles in your wellness and your capability and your energy level. I love the energy as currency thing. That's genius. That just really lit me up right now. I thought that was very insightful, and I know why I have kind of protected my calendar at the end of the day, because I know I'm no good. I'm just no good. And I want that for each and every one of us to start to be able to spend time on those. And so the last part is take technology with you so you can spend time on those things, right? 50% of every hour of my life is in some way an AI related activity of automation that saves me time. It could be the meeting notes that Natalie talked about. You guys have no idea. I remember the old days. Right? Mm-hmm. What did my chicken scratch say there? And I'm so behind. I'm doing my meeting notes on a Sunday night, and the meeting was last Monday. and I'm trying to remember what the action items were, and they're probably past due. And okay, so I wasn't the best project manager. What can I say? But I let stuff slip a little bit. But technology has now empowered me to become a team member that's directly involved, and that is what a practitioner is. You're not just overseeing what's going on. You're not just some sort of mechanic that's telling you you need to do your risk log, you need to do your due dates. You're part of the team solving the problems, removing the blockers. So I know that the folks out there that are very agile centric will understand that. Those of us that are more traditional waterfall have learned that through community and stakeholder management. I just feel that now being a project success practitioner is bigger than ourselves is an expectation of all professionals involved in projects. And I'm excited about that being the future. Last thing I'll say is I actually believe, and we believe at CORBEAU and Project Success Academy, that the future with AI is for self-actualized professionals, right? It's not replacement, it's replacement of the mechanical stuff. So you can be a critical thinker and an artistic contributor, a leader, a creative person. And I am looking forward to the days when we spend more of our every hour doing cool stuff like that with each other.
Yeah, agreed. Natalie?
Yeah, I have so many thoughts. My brain's kind of been going like crazy since you asked the question. First of all, I'm really excited about as the awareness about what project management truly is continues to grow. I think, seeing the number of people entering project management compared to, again, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I had not too many people at the time I hadn't even heard about project management. It was sort of, I started doing it before realizing that's what it was called. I think there's an awareness shift in terms of what is managing projects. And the reality is you don't have to have a project manager or project leadership title in order to be managing projects. So the reality is many folks in business, whether you're in whatever industry you're in, whether you're in healthcare, whether you're in legal, whether you're in finance, whether you're in gaming, it doesn't really matter. There is an opportunity to improve project management skills. It's really, we are the ones that get things done, right? At the end of the day, we take an idea and we turn it into something tangible. That is such an incredible skill set that I want to see more people embrace and really truly understand what that means. Ben, you mentioned a lot of people sort of see project managers as paper pushers. And if that is so sad, because the reality is when we're working at the highest level of our scope, again, we are true business partners. We bring so much value to organizations. So I'm really excited about that. The other piece is when I think about the future, I really want to see more conversation about building in health and well-being into what we're doing, right? So I know I'm coming from that angle, and maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I think this is the conversation that we should be having. And maybe technology is the way that we do that, right? If it frees us up, it gives us more time to, get up in between meetings and stand up and stretch or take a deep breath and be able to just have that mental reset so that we can continue to bring it, right, every day and bring our best selves to our projects, to our teams, to our communities. And in order to do that, we need to take care of ourselves as well. So it starts internally so we can, again, from an external perspective, bring our best selves.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more, honestly. I really think, and we've all had these conversations together and separately with other people. I really do believe that the technology that we're seeing now is not nearly as scary as it's kind of made out to be. And it's exactly what you described, Natalie. It's going to give us all an opportunity. It already has, if we're being honest, those of us who are using it, it's already given us an opportunity to kind of take back some of our lives, to be able to take a walk or just, like you said, get up, move around, do stuff, because we can, as Ben has taught me, like put an automation into Claude, walk away for a minute, or get something else done and shorten our workday or do it more effectively. But I can attest that it has definitely helped me. Your advice, Natalie, has helped me as well. And then again, just all encompassing, having good leaders and people who are mentors to you, like that can guide you and give you the quote unquote permission to do these things. Hey, I want you to work on the AI, or hey, I want you to take a break, or I want you to block off your calendar. It's important as leaders that we give our teams those opportunities, like take a day off, take some time, because we all need those breaks. And I think the AI is allowing us the opportunity to have more of that rather than less. When there's some learning that we're all doing, but learning's good too. So
yeah, I truly hope that organizations like really drive that.
yeah.
But then there's that element of self-leadership as well. You
Yes.
really need to see where you are getting
Yes.
to a point of burnout and be able to identify those warning signs and you know, pick a few strategies that really work for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally
I
agree.
could talk to the two of you all day, but we can't because we're going to bore people. However, if you want to learn more, you can go to CORBEAUTech.com, ProjectSuccessAcademy.com, and you can go check out Project Management Life with Natalie. I highly, highly suggest that you go connect with her on LinkedIn. She's amazing. The work that her and her team are doing is incredible, and we are huge proponents of what you're doing, and we look forward to the next things that we get to do together. So check her out for sure. And like give her some questions, make some comments in here, and she'll be happy to respond too. And so will we. And we're just honored that we got to have some time together with you today, Natalie. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so wonderful to see both of you.
Yeah.
Been fun.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.